Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SpyParty Masters Championship Challengers Finals cast. I'm your host, Corvus Mallory, and I'm joined by my co-caster, Pone Noob,
Howdy, howdy.
and with our desk analyst, Grosh, who will be taking us through all these players and what we can expect.
Hey everybody. So I'm anticipating really exciting match today. I think we can start by chatting a bit about. Oh, but you've got to talk about the bracket first.
Yeah, let's just look at where we are in this tournament. So, as a reminder, SMC is an invitational 14-player tournament. We had 8 players enter the Challengers division, competing for a spot in Champions, and C-Rams and Sauerkraut both won their first match. So C-Rams defeated Scout, and Sauerkraut defeated Povke, and now they're playing in a first to 9, a best of 16, to enter into Champions alongside Lazy Bear, Mean York, and Opie Rights, and then eventually make it out of there in top 2 to make it to Champions brackets. So still a lot of matches to play for the person who wins this match, but the loser will be going home. And so I guess just thinking about what we have here, these players, Grosh, if you want to walk us through what we can expect, maybe we'll start with C-Rams, who is the higher seed. Give us a little bit of a preview.
Yeah, for sure. So C-Rams, I think, a player who's come out this year from left field. I think really unknown before all of his competitive victories this year. He won the Golden Gold tournament, had very high placements in Summer and Winter Cup, defeating several noteworthy players. Defeated Koopa, and actually, this is not the first time that C-Rams and Sauerkraut have played together. Also defeated Sauerkraut in the Winter Cup round of 16. Actually won that game 7-3. And so we'll talk more about that later. But I think with C-Rams, he is a very research-focused player. Really spends a lot of time researching his opponent and also doing a lot of prep, thinking about different sorts of tech or strategies that he can do on the spy side. And so I expect to see a lot of really interesting, inventive sorts of plays while he's spy. But not only that, but he's got a very strong campy sniper. On the spy side, I think he often plays slower, but will again use these really interesting, cheesy set piece plays. And so the clip I wanted to show this week kind of demonstrates one of those from his match against Scout last week.
Yeah, C-Rams may be eyeing up that left pillar again. They do have some tech associated with it, but if Scout's done any research, they should know about that trick that C-Rams has up their sleeve. Into statues, quick pickup. This could be a swap cheese.
It's a red swap
as well.
We're not on camera. We are not seen at that statue at all.
Ooh, and now we're standing in a position to block the swap statue with our head.
Oh no.
Salmon and Seek are particularly tall characters, and in this convo position, really hide that left statue well. So this is definitely a set play from C-Rams.
Yeah, and so you can kind of see there, C-Rams really taking advantage of Seek being a pretty tall character and doing this interesting cheesy swap play, and so does that kind of thing a lot. In that same set against Scout last week, also had a really interesting setup with a book slam on Veranda, where he had a green book out and then waited right on the very edge of the conversation circle next to red books and kind of went and slammed it. So lots of interesting, fun stuff like that. But his spy is slower, and I think he may be a bit more prone to timing out. He timed out twice in his set against Scout last week, and so that'll be something else that we'll have to be watching for. I saw that it was something that wouldn't be uncommon to see in the SCL sets that he played this year too, would be a timeout. During his drafts, he often bans Redwoods. I think it'll be really likely to see him ban Redwoods here. Doesn't seem to like playing it. But of course, as a research sniper, right, I expect that he'll be playing to the perceived weaknesses of Sauerkraut. Warning Track, the master of stats last week, had during the set between Sauerkraut and Povke, sort of showed stats suggesting that Sauer is weaker to prints, is more prone to losing against spies who complete prints. So I think C-Rams is pretty likely to play a fingerprint focus game as well. So those are kind of my thoughts about C-Rams, and then we can move on to Sauerkraut. So Sauerkraut, much more established player in the community, has been playing a lot longer, which may make a big difference in this game today. Had a 5th place finish in Summer Cup. He's considered himself more of a behavioral sniper, and also places a lot of emphasis on what venues he's picking against specific opponents. And I think that's going to be big here as well, kind of how he might decide to play against C-Rams. It's also notable, right? He is the training partner of Nebula, one of our very top-ranked players currently. And so these sets are often super long, and so if the set goes super long, that may also, benefit Sauerkraut. On Spy, again, stats from track, very much prefers walking bugs, and also tends to complete inspects less frequently than other top players. He was able to claim victory against Pofke last week, who, like C-Rams, is a very strong sniper, campy sort of sniper. And so, and some of those plays were pretty inventive too. So I kind of wanted to show one of Sauer's Spy game victories here.
And a quick walk away from statues into books. And a quick book rip.
No.
Pofke, there's the book-to-book transfer and the inspects. Sauerkraut is finishing a lot of missions here very quickly, and if Pofke's not on top of the transfer, this could be Sauerkraut walking away with the set win. Here comes a failed bug attempt on the Ambassador. How on earth did that fail? Now heading into bar. Are we just going to take the list here? What is Sauerkraut doing?
We could get the delegate and bring it to overtime. This one game overtime.
No, we just take the list.
No,
We just take the list. We could not have been sent. We were not in conversation. Pofke doesn't see the list as missing. 3 seconds. Sauerkraut is going to win this match, and that is Sauerkraut taking the set, 7-9.
And so, I think there were some really interesting games that managed to fool Pofke here, and so I think Sauerkraut prone to find a way to finish and get into mission win countdown. I think we'll see some of that too, and also capable of sort of non-standard spy plays like C-Rams. In that game against Pofke, also had some interesting plays. Like in one match, had as Pearls again on Veranda had done like a microfilm animation outside of conversation, opportune time, lots of attention to where the sniper's laser is when doing plays. So I think that with Sauerkraut, right, less prone to timing out, but has had, does sieve shot sometimes. And so I think that will be something that we'll really have to see, is whether C-Rams can provoke sieve shots from Sauer. But I think there's a lot of opportunities for Sauer sniping against C-Rams too. Per some recent stats from Opie Rights, among the SMC participants, C-Rams has one of the lowest green test rates. It's about 41%, whereas Sauerkraut's is roughly 51%, which can make a huge difference. If you had a white test, that might be game over for these spies. And then I think this game will be very different too, because Sauer's going to be ready with counterplay now that he knows that C-Ram's going to be researching him and is a very strong, formidable opponent. I think will be coming into this match much more prepared than he was during their first game in the round of 16 Winter Cup. So I think, bottom line, I really think this game's going to come down to a few things. How effective is C-Ram's research going to be in finding and identifying Sauerkraut's weaknesses? And will Sauer be able to adapt around that? Like, will he be prepared to expect that C-Ram's going to play a fingerprint-heavy game and be able to, camp that? Will C-Rams be able to develop some interesting techie plays that fool Sauer? Or, is Sauer's, much greater experience going to play out here, and will he notice it? And also just how well both these spies play. Is C-Rams going to be timing out or white testing too much? Or not? So I'm really excited to see what happens here.
All right, well, before we can get into the match, we're going to have to go through the draft. We talked about the importance of the draft to a player like Sauerkraut, and of course I suspect C-Rams has come with some preparation as well. We do see the ban onto Redwoods from C-Rams, like you mentioned. We also have the ban onto Veranda from Sauerkraut. No surprise there. Perhaps Sauerkraut banned Veranda last week, and C-Rams swept Veranda last week. Restricts onto Modern and Courtyard. We have double Tayen, and then for the first time making his first appearance in any SMC draft on either side of the line, we have Pub as Sauerkraut's double. That's Pub 3 of 7. Then we have singled Aquarium, Library, we have Gallery, and Modern. So Sauerkraut picking into CRAM's Restrict, but Courtyard not making an appearance in the match. So Grosh, what's the biggest thing to look for in this draft?
Yeah, I mean, looking at this, I think it's very interesting. I think CRAM's pick of Taean, Taean is a pretty interesting venue, a lot of potential tech, and so I'm expecting that CRAM's is going to have some plays up his sleeve for Taean, just knowing how he tends to be. So I think we really want to watch out for that. Some interesting spy plays from CRAM's on Taean. And then, with Sauerkraut doubling Pub, that's very interesting. I think that would be more of a choice you'd expect if you hope to play a stronger behavioral game than your opponent. Really in a spot where, CRAM's going to have to make difficult decisions on who to shoot if there's, only inspect flirt contact done. And also may prove to be challenging if CRAM's is a bit more prone to timing out. Because Pub is just such a venue where the timing of missions is so important. So I think those are all interesting too. And you can also see from CRAM some other, with their singles, other venues where you may be able to do some interesting tech in Aquarium and Gallery. So should be very interesting.
And then I guess looking at this, we have stats that Telnet prepared in Discord this week mentioning that almost all the time, 7 out of 8 players have gone 3-1 on their doubles. So I think it's fair to say here at this level in SMC, if you are splitting your double, you're already kind of behind, and you have room to make up. Only one double so far has gone 2-2. The rest of them have all gone 3-1. So that's our draft. Now, of course, before we can get into the game, we have one more thing for your pre-stream, and that is predictions. All your on-air talent will be making predictions, and we'll look at how they compare to the community. And I'll go ahead and start here. And, Sauerkraut, of course, a big veteran, but hasn't really been putting up the kinds of numbers, the kinds of big marquee results that you might expect. Only one, and scraping in at the bottom of the MRP ladder for qualification to SMC. I'm going to have to go here with CRAM's based on his extensive preparation, based on his dedication to research. I think that's going to put him over the line and come out with a score of 9-6.
I can go. I think this is, clearly should be Sauerkraut as the favorite. I'm just interested on how it's going to go. I see it going either two ways, either Sauerkraut out-staminaing, just having the experience in both the amount of games and the amount of long sets he's had, or it going just a Sauerkraut stomp if CRAM's sniper isn't up to play. But I'll go somewhere in the middle and say Sauerkraut 9-5.
As I was looking into these players and really thinking about this game a lot, preparing for being on the analyst desk today, I really struggled deciding who I thought would be more likely to win, because I think both players have some compelling cases. I think it's going to be a really close game, and I think a lot of it is going to depend on how these players play today. I want to give it to CRAM's, maybe 9-6, and I think it's going to be really close. But I think what's going to make the difference is CRAM's is very strong sniper, and I think if he's able to get one or two of these interesting plays past Sauer, that might do it in. So, but we'll have to see to what extent Sauer is able to take countermeasures against CRAM's.
All right, well, that is the talent predictions. I think this is the 5th straight cast where the casters have been split, and it's been the analysts to make up the difference. So thank you, Grosh, for being here. But of course, that's not all. We had the SpyParty community make predictions on the SMC prediction sheet the first week of the tournament, and now we can go ahead and take a look at what they suggested we'd be seeing. Now, keep in mind, not everyone will have predicted a winner for this match, because some people probably didn't have CRAM's versus Sauerkraut in their bracket, so we're going to have 3 numbers in this bar here. But in terms of the predictions themselves, it was 33% believing that C-Rams would win this match, and then 53% believing that Sauerkraut would win this match, which of course the balance, in fact, was all for Povke. So Sauerkraut taking those folks out, but a little bit of an inversion here. The community pulling for Sauerkraut, and then all your folks here on cast, big fans of the C-Rams. So that is going to be our pre-stream, and Grash, thanks so much for walking us through that. We'll see you back here at halftime. But Pone, you ready to get into our first game?
Yeah, and it looks like they're raring to go. It's going to be this Tayen game, looking at C-Rams as Pearls.
That looks right to me. C-Rams as Pearls, Sauerkraut on the sniper side in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
We start off immediately inside the Ambassador, but C-Rams doesn't take the immediate control and take the bug. I'm not too surprised. It'd be incredibly hard to react to that.
Yeah, and the sniper was also kind of just staring right at the Ambassador. We were out in front, so instead we'll take this flirt. It's a white test, 34%. Of course, C-Rams, as we mentioned, one of the lowest green test rates. But on Tayen, not necessarily as much of a concern. Usually plenty of time. Potential setup here for a bug. C-Rams doesn't take it. Ambassador goes wide. And so everybody settles in. We have 3 minutes. We have one person at statues and C-Rams in a useless conversation circle.
Yeah, in the same way that you mentioned that white tests on Tayen are not necessarily as bad, neither is the fact that we are a slower character playing as Pearls here on Tayen. Just all the missions are quite close to the conversation, so you don't really need to worry too much. This is a green Purloin here, and it was behind Shoji. If this take ends up being done by Boots, it will be behind the Shoji. We might not have it be seen by the sniper.
Oh, instant highlights coming off, though.
Up here.
And a couple
Based
of
on the highlights
starting, so this looks really good for C-Rams. We are not the only suspect. The problem is, none of these people have been to statues. None of them are going to be any more suspicious than us. So C-Rams has 2 minutes to finish missions as a suspect without getting shot.
And the list has been returned, by the way, which for Sauerkraut is a huge question mark. Both for, did he notice that the list was gone? We suspect yes because of the highlights. But now that the list is back, how confident is he going to be that he didn't just phantom the list gone for a moment now that it's back on the tray?
Yeah, that's a rough feeling seeing a list return, especially here on Tayen. And C-Rams going to keep the pressure up. We're going to go right into center statues. 1.5 minutes on the clock. The timing is not bad. We're just 1 flirt, 1 contact, and 1 set of inspects away from being in mission win countdown. And Sauerkraut's going to have to pull the trigger pretty much just on the basis of this inspect and that Purloin.
I think there could have been dreams here of doing this in 1 cycle, but with a white test, not possible. That's really only possible with a character like Pearls who does really slow inspect animations, but not on the table here. We are going to get that full suspicion there for the middle statues.
Yeah, another potential bug setup, but we're not taking. Instead, we're going to go for a contact.
Oh, the double agent leaves as we're doing the contact, and that's an issue with the white test. If we'd hit a green test there, the contact would have likely landed.
Yeah, that's really sad for C-Rams. That is not what you wanted to see. And so now you have under a minute on the clock. You have your flirt done, but you're still gonna need that contact with double agent and statues.
Yeah, and there's an interesting dynamic here of how to go about getting this contact if that's going to be the mission that you're doing. Another fake will add additional confusion, make it look like the spy might be desperate for a civilian to be shot. The double agent might not come into conversation at all. There's safety off on Seek.
Yeah, and Sick, I'm not even sure was in. Salmon walks right past us, teases us. We're going to chase, but he doesn't go to conversation. We have 7 seconds. We don't have time for this. C-Rams is going to time out.
We can't Purloin either. No matter how many times you see that list on the tray, it's already been taken. That's going to be a timeout from C-Rams, and it looked so promising. We could have had a good finish. Not necessarily at the banana bread at a minute, because we still had to do our flirt, but we would have clearly been able to finish if Sauerkraut didn't shoot us. With the double agent missing us and not coming back into conversation, C-Rams just isn't prepared. He has a drink in hand.
That's a quarter second that we missed the double agent by. That's got to be crushing for C-Rams coming out of the gate. And Sauerkraut, with that as the first game, is going to be feeling maybe like he got a little bit lucky, but hey, holding on a timeout on Tayen with a Purloin shown is not easy to do.
Yeah, and if this was like CRM's idea, this is double Taen. It's unlikely he's going to get away with another return next round. I'd be very interested if he tries to do the same play twice. We won't be there just yet. We do have Sauerkraut on Spy first, though.
Yep, going to be playing as Salmon, blending into the Shoji in 3, 2, 1, playing it. And I know Salmon not usually considered a character with a good bug. I don't know how much the color palette here opponent is going to affect that on Taen.
Yeah, Sauerkraut's playing Salmon here, who's generally considered to be one of the weaker spies. Not because Salmon actually has anything wrong with him, it's just he doesn't really have anything that's particularly strong. Even for like a tall character, he's not brilliant at blocking the statues, not that that's possible on Taen. I do find, at least personally, that he does blend in on every venue to a point that I've lost so many times to Salmon on mission wins just because he is so innocuous.
Alright, well we're going to be starting off after that green flirt with a center inspect. So Sauerkraut's playing this game pretty quick. We do get the road highlight from C-Rams at that statue visit. But not a lot to look at here. The ambassador has not been in that much danger. Red Dress comes over to make the point for me. But okay, we have our inspects done. Yes, and the statue down.
Statues.
That bug not taking is going to be really unfortunate for Sauerkraut, but if it wasn't caught, and it seems like it was not, then I don't know. It's the kind of thing you could see.
Yeah, it's really hard to catch bugs that don't land because they are further away from the ambassador. It's just something that the sniper doesn't need to worry about as much. Here we come. This is definitely something you need to be worried about, and the bug does land. We were in this spot for a reason, and we now have 2.5 missions.
2.5 missions, 1.5 minute, and already 1 point, looking to extend it to 2 on CRAM's double. We go into conversation with the double agent. There are a lot of people out of conversation to take the contact at this point, and you still need a flirt with your ST at books, and potentially going to have to take this case as well.
Innocent Drink here kind of implies that we are very much looking to end on the contact and the flirt. If we don't, if we end up in a similar situation that C-Rams ended up in the first game, that would be rough. Was that a safety off on us? We've definitely been front and center with this sniper, but it's kind of just because we're in the conversation.
Yeah, there's not a lot for us to be doing here. We're just waiting for people to settle. We're going to end up chasing our seduction target to books and having to gulp this drink. But we do get the flirt. It is green. And now we can take this book out and have 45 seconds left to finish this game with a contact.
Yeah, and we are taking the book. This is a bit of an insurance policy, if I do say so, because if the double agent leaves after this drink take, for example, we could do a microfilm if worst comes to worst.
Just waiting for this contact, 24 seconds, and I think Sauerkraut might be trying to do this at the last 12-second mark to try to induce that six-shot suspicion. There it is, 18 seconds now. It's a white test, we're talking. No, it's just a start talk.
We are front and center. We are definitely in the sniper's mind, but he's not willing to take the shot, and that's Sauerkraut up.
Sauerkraut up 2-0 so far. This is a commanding start on C-Ram's double of Taen. And this bug, I think, made all the difference after that first attempt. The second one is much closer and going to take much better.
Yeah, the second bug is the sort that you just kind of know happens on Taen. And you have to be incredibly just watching it, kind of selling out for it. The first bug is the one that C-Rams is going to be like, wait, why didn't I catch that? And I think the answer is going to be it's the first sniper game that you've played. You're trying to de-rust here. You're trying to make sure that you're playing at your 100%. Otherwise, Sauerkraut could run away with this.
Yeah, taking a look at this first bug, you know, it is kind of far away, I guess, when that happens. I hate to see it. But from a sniper perspective, not catching, that was kind of your chance to come back into this game, seeing the arm come around Rocker. It's not seen, and that means that C-Rams has a hole to dig himself out of. Down 2-0 on his double of Taen. It's not the place you want to be, but hey, after this we're going to pub, and you know, Pub is a pretty swingy venue. If CRAMS needs to make up ground, the venue set is well laid out for that to happen. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we have CRAMS going to pull the ripcord here. Emergency Smallman down 0-2 in the set. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, if you want to swing a game back, Smallman's your guy. If you want to dance, Smallman's your guy. If you want to swing dance, I don't know, Smallman's probably your guy. I think maybe not your best pick, maybe Alice would be your best swing dancer, but I'm interested to see what CRAMS pulls off here, given the idea that CRAMS is a very technical set play player, and Smallman is the character to do set plays with.
Our seduction target really teases us there, curving around a conversation, walking back through it after the bounce, but landing at center statues instead, and CRAMS decides he doesn't want to be low on time again this game. Going to go in for a quick contact at statues. That's also going to block Duke's center inspect from completing, unless we do a 1 cycle on this.
I'd like the 1 cycle, it's a good idea. Duke's going to put it down anyway, so we'll get an extra statue. I do like this. We saw in the first game, CRAMS wasn't taking these like decent bugs. In this spot, he's taking the most opportunistic thing he can, which is getting the flirt and the inspects. Inspects might not necessarily have been his plan going into the game, but he's being a bit more flexible. 65% is rough. With Irish between us, we're just slightly further away. Bug, however, not rough. That's very smooth.
Yeah, I mean, this bug is just completely invisible. There's no chance for anyone to see this happen. That's going to be a bug in pocket for Smallman.
Banana bread.
Contact's also very good. Even Irish there, who was a lever, left right when it happened, so even that could be considered like a sneaky banana split. CRAMS is in a commanding position, which he needs.
Yeah, I think at this point, I mean, CRAMS has 2 choices, right? Obviously, we're going to finish Flirt, even if it takes us 2 more with CRAMS' green rate. But now the question is, do we want to finish Inspecs? Or do you want to try to find like some kind of print game with Inspecs half completed?
I think CRAMS is actually in a bit of a time trouble. If you try and do this in a way that you try and force it, like these obvious flirts, if you go to statues, you need to be doing some sort of AI thing, because I think you're going to get shot here a high percentage of the time. Let's find out, though. Our final inspect is being done.
The mission count to shoot. It's a quick 1 cycle.
Ooh, that's a quick put down. We're going to go into dance spot, or we're going to chill? We are chilling. This is actually a lot of cover. This ends up being kind of half dance, half what the AI would do anyways, and it works out. Sauerkraut is not ready to shoot one of his only 2 highlights for completing statues, in part because I think another just really tough bug to see.
Yeah, I mean, this bug is... It's the kind of bug that you mentioned that you know happens on Tan, but like this is one you just have to know to credit. And if you forget the Smallman's even there, because you can't even really see him, you may not even be aware that you need to credit it.
Yeah, and the really funny thing is the ambassador then left basically immediately after. So if you just didn't acknowledge the fact that a bug could have happened, the ambassador kind of just ran away before you could get the evidence too. Good stuff from CRAMS. Just a lot more heads up on the statue to flirt and the bug that we didn't necessarily see when he was trying to do the set play with the return in the first game.
All right, well, that is going to be CRAMS making up a little bit of ground, trying to at least split his double. And Sauerkraut, hey, playing it back as Smallman, why not? If it worked for one of them, it'll work for the other. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
The biggest issues with Smallman are going to be things like he's not able to statue block, which isn't an issue on Tayen. You're going to have rougher purloins, which isn't a problem. You can just do it behind the shoji. Smallman's flaws, if you can call them flaws, are kind of diminished, and his perks, good time ads and being small, are heightened. So really, I'm surprised, to be honest, that he hasn't just taken a Smallman highlight. You see that pretty commonly from snipers.
We have a print left over there at the back statue. We have our seduction target getting some inspects. And hey, here comes a bug. And that bug is going to take, and that is Sauerkraut getting a first mission in this game.
That was definitely on camera. Like, CRAMS could have caught that, but he kind of was drifting to do something at the time. And I don't think it's really been acknowledged, especially without the highlight.
2.5 minutes left on the clock. 51% flirt. With a quick green test, so that's our first one. Our selection target goes to Briefcase, so she'll be away for a little while. Ambassador gets us some more bug credit. Hate to see that, but hey, you have the bug in pocket, so you're willing to take it, I think. And Sauerkraut may be eyeing up some of these statues.
Yeah, with the Bug already in pocket. Honestly, this is pretty nasty place to be standing because you are going to get bug credit just quite often. Like another instance here with the ambassador coming in. There was definitely an idea of escaping, but I mean, we got paid off just by standing there because the seduction target came to us. So it goes both sides, both ways.
Yeah, Sauerkraut I think has bugged at least 3 times so far in this game. We do get a white test flirt, a green test flirt across conversation, take us to 89%, take that. But now time is starting to tick down. I mean, you're getting into the place where going to center statues and inspecting the small Manante end is not going to be a great feeling.
Say hi to the ambassador again. Both our seduction target and the ambassador have enjoyed coming to us. One of those is more helpful than the other.
Double
Here comes
agents
the contact,
in,
which
we are
we're not
out.
going to take. I think General is been to 2 statues. Like, there's definitely people that are likely to get shot here if we have a timely banana bread. Instead, we're... Hey, how about that? C-Rams agrees. It's with the General going to pick up the briefcase. It's looking like a really quiet Softail game. We didn't put a banana bread to credit or give General an alibi, so perhaps a quick early shot here from C-Rams, but C-Rams does also have some things that he's shooting for that aren't necessarily missions.
Yeah, and I do kind of wonder here, like, there's some idea that this briefcase is illegal. It's not. You know, we start walking here when ambassador is in one place. We go to the briefcase, we don't pick it up. General starts walking there when the ambassador is in a different place and goes and does pick it up. But just look a little weird that, like, okay, well, one person went there, didn't get the briefcase, one person went there, did get the briefcase, and it's someone that I'm worried about for prints. Because looking here, General's been to both of those statues and picked up a print on that one from the ambassador. So that's General's second print for sure, and inspects complete. With a bug possibly in pocket, that's a reasonable shot, I think, from C-Rams. It's just unfortunate that it's the wrong one. And that means Sauerkraut has picked up 3 points on C-Rams' double.
Yeah, the thing I'm slightly sad about is we don't get to see if Sauerkraut would have given General the banana bread that I was mentioning. Definitely capable. I mean, Sauerkraut is an incredibly heads-up player on both sides. He's very able and capable of taking these impromptu situations that happen. But C-Rams gives him the win, and it is going to be another 3-1 double. In this case, though, that was C-Rams double, and now we're on Sauerkraut's pick, which is not a great sign for C-Rams, now that you're behind and have to play your opponent's map.
All right, well, C-Rams starting off on the spy side of pub 3 of 7. 2 minutes 45 on the clock. Let's see what he can get done in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
This is a venue that can take anywhere from about 12 seconds to 4 minutes. The 2 things that we're likely to see are going to be like general rushes and potentially timeouts. 48% is a weird one. I mean, still very good. You're not going to complain about having 48%, but it does take away our potential of having a 2 flirt.
Yeah, and on these 3 of X low time venues, those 2 flirts can be extremely powerful. Ambassador not in a lot of danger here. We do have, I think, our first and only bar visitor in Sick, but Kane getting an inspect. So some potential here for C-Rams to try to set up some frames. Of course, on pub 3 of 7, there is this general impression that your best bet might just be some kind of coin flip as we head into Kane's statue.
Yeah, there was, because nobody was in the bar, definitely not at the bar itself, there was a decent opportunity there for a banana bread. That's an early swap, and that's a highlight for it. That might be for the inspect. Nope, it's for the swap. There comes the shot. It's a bullet into the many pixels of Hare's hair, and I mean, I believe that's a quick 4-1.
Yeah, I think it is, and I think a lot of this just comes down to, like, okay, well, I'm going to try to swap for Kane and bet that the sniper doesn't know what the fade is. I think Sauerkraut has enough experience at this point with a much higher game count to be comfortable figuring out those fades, and that is a white fade all day. We take up the inspect anyways because, I mean, obviously we want to do that while we're there, but Sauerkraut's not going to be fooled by this, not even going to take the coin flip on Kane and Red Dress, just going to shoot for it. And Sauerkraut now, I think it's fair to say, pretty much in a commanding lead, 4-1 in this set.
Yeah, and you guys predicted C-Rams to be winning, so I get to feel indignant for just a moment until we see the comeback here with C-Rams shooting Sauerkraut as Irish.
Yeah, can't wait to see it. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Irish, I think, is just the most natural pick for this venue. I have no explanation why. It just seems like she fits in with what you want to be doing, specifically on this 3 of 7 pub.
Well, we're going to start off trying to get a flirt at this statue pad. We will make it happen. We're also going to actually get the statue too.
Yeah, we saw a double dip there from our CRAM spy play on Taeyen. This is the even spicier version where you're just picking up the same statue. I think it's more suspicious if it's something you expect the opponent to do, but it's actually pretty hard to catch and potentially considered like pretty AI-like if it's not something you expect your opponent to do. So it might come down to research.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of a risk there, right? If you make a mistake about how much room is on the pad, you end up not being able to pick up the statue. You kind of have to walk away quickly, so it looks like it was natural. It's a dicey thing to go for, but we have a minute 45. We have our inspect done. We have one flirt. And the problem is that inspect is not like sneaky or anything. So CRAM's definitely probably noticed 2 people on that pad. That can be a strong flirt pair if Sauerkraut needs to get another one. But here's the contact, and
Banana
it's
bread.
for pub. Hey, not bad.
The white test is actually pretty rough in that we are talking, but CRAMs hasn't even given us a highlight for the inspect. We could end here as a neutral light.
That would be devastating if we somehow avoid the knowledge of the inspect from CRAMs. We're just going to go and try to finish this right now. We have over a minute left on the clock. We stand right next to Rocker. We're just going to try to hit this green test. Sauerkraut 51%. Coin flipping for this green flirt, and timer's starting to tick down. We want to take this soon, so we still have the chance to timer flirt if we miss it. We're waiting for her to stop talking so we don't interrupt. There's the green test anyways. Sauerkraut with the nods, and I don't see any way CRAMs is able to take this shot. And in fact, it'll be a shot onto sick.
Not giving Sauerkraut the pleasure of a mission win, but, I mean, Sauerkraut played about as clean. Like, this is the sort of game that you see an AI do, and you go, ugh, I hate having to shoot for this, and sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. When this spy does it, just this early inspect, this 2 flirt, the only, like, thing that was anything wrong from Sauerkraut was that we were talking during the banana bread. But to be honest, you would often do a banana bread because you see someone who went to statues like Sauerkraut early, so it doesn't really add that much. Just a perfect game, and CRAMs find somebody else is probably doing the exact same thing, just statues, flirt, and BB to shoot instead.
All right, well, CRAMs now on the spy side really needing a win to stay alive in this set, and it is pub 3 of 7, so those things are possible. You can just try to stay on the down low here for the entire game and wait for some civ to get shot. That's always an option. But let's see what CRAMs does on the spy side in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
It's your 4th spy game, you're down 5-1. I would not be surprised to see some time ads here. It doesn't look like we're doing it immediately. CRAMs is doing a bunch of these early chaos walking like we're an AI, just trying to figure out where we want to go. Seduction target is outside, and if we try and get next to them, it is going to be kind of stuffy, but definitely the idea. CRAMs doesn't, he's going to just take the empty space in conversation.
Yeah, the 25% flirt, I mean, it's not where you want to be after your first flirt, but it didn't take you that much time to get there, so you're probably reasonably happy with it. The question now is how much activity is there that you're going to be able to take advantage of?
Yeah, I think the general concern I have for this set is CRAMs has about 10 times less games played just of SpyParty. Sauerkraut hasn't been in competitive community forever, but definitely also has more competitive games. This is going to be a hard comeback, just both the fact that Sauerkraut is very good. Sauerkraut's about to shoot Irish and prove me wrong, but the other thing here is it's hard for me to imagine somebody having composure with so few competitive games, so few actual games. We are doing fingerprints, and it's now done with half the time on the clock. This is the thing that mentioned by Grash that Sauerkraut might be weak at, but it's 3 of 7. You kind of have to be watching fingerprints.
Yeah, and it wasn't super sneaky. I mean, it was a bar print followed by a briefcase print. But I do like that CRAMs is switching it up, trying out fingerprint. We've done most missions, but not print up until this point. No print, no transfer. We've tried everything else. So a minute on the clock. We'll go in for our second flirt. The question is how quickly we take this. Double agent is in as well. These are some full conversations. Boots does unfortunately leave. That's going to be 72%. and we're brought back down to a neutral light after that bar visit.
Yeah, I'm interested. With the way that talk looked, it looked like it was about to be a contact, and we got the neutral light right during it. We might get brought back up here for the talking during the contact, but again, I think Sauerkraut's just mission counting an Irish and wants to shoot on maybe the next talk with a flirt possible. Right now, Irish is in a conversation with 2 cast members. It might not happen. The big thing for C-Rams here is the second target is at statues, which is the most awkward place they could be.
Yeah, this is so bad. We can't time out. We just have to wait and hope that General goes somewhere, but we're not going to have time. Unless General walks like directly to us immediately, I think C-Rams is headed for another timeout.
Oh, come on, General, come on.
No,
we're going to try and meet him there. It's going to be too slow. It's too slow.
No, it's not too slow.
It's not.
How in the world
there's
do we
no
get that? And who do we shoot?
You can't shoot Irish. He hasn't talked.
You have to...
C-Rams almost takes the bullet for Irish in the last second dance, but it is the shot on Irish. Sauerkraut just looking for anybody to shoot. Nobody at statues. He's been thinking it's Irish the whole time. Doesn't see Irish talk. There's no actual mission completion for Irish, but still just comes to the shot of Irish. C-Rams almost walked in front of that bullet, though, just in a last-ditch effort to not be shot. Almost got shot.
That's amazing. So, C-Rams, I mean, you talked about that composure to be able to do those things. We see General coming out this way, and probably right around this point is when we realize, okay, we're in deep trouble. And then, okay, we're gonna go. Instant talk. And that is a very fast flirt. That is a 0.6 second flirt on the action test. When we hit this flirt at 1.06 seconds left, we only needed a white, which means that we were probably guaranteed if we hit a very early white, no matter where it was. But really taking that down all the way to the wire and forcing Sauerkraut
both me and you thought that was not going to land.
Yeah.
And I think with good reason. Like, 0.6 is very quick. Good stuff there from C-Rams. Sauerkraut, I think, was just a bit too tunneled and Irish there, but if C-Rams hadn't pulled that off, he would have gotten the win anyways because of his patience. So, both players playing well, to be honest.
Yeah, fantastic game. All right, well, that means that Sauerkraut now suddenly in the potential of giving up the 2 break points and just coming out of halftime up 5-3, but shooting for the 6-2. And I guess C-Rams is the one shooting for the 5-3, actually. Sauerkraut on the spy side as Irish in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, we're back at Irish at Pub. I mentioned it earlier. It just seems like a good fit. It's like decent bug, both standing and walking, just generally fitting in. I'm interested to see how C-Rams is going to snipe this. We've seen him drop a few games here as the sniper already. And I'm not sure if the camping's going particularly poorly or if it's just these civilians and the pressure that are causing him this much issue so far on the sniper.
Yeah, heading back inside, heading back outside actually. Going back to this conversation, it's full. We've managed to find our way in. We might even be able to bug here, but Ambassador leaves, but we will pick up another flirt.
Bugging through 2 people would be about as ridiculous as it gets for those standing bugs.
Coming up on just about 100 seconds left.
Yeah, I didn't notice it, so I hope the sniper didn't either. Sauerkraut sneakily moved just kind of behind Disney's Visage, making it possible to get this quick flirt. Deciding to go to windows at the last second there. Oh, because the flirtation cooldown hadn't expired. We're actually quite close to the seduction target with just being behind Disney and not even going for the flirt at all. Interesting.
We go window to window. We curve away from statue there, as apparently Boots was taking it instead. Innocent watch check coming off in minute 10. No time heads yet, I think, from any of these players. And then the bug walking through the ambassador. That's catchable, maybe.
Yeah, that was catchable. It's the sort of thing that you give a highlight and then you really consider how many missions Sauerkraut could have. But Sauerkraut's been getting away with basically every bug they've been taking so far in this set, and this doesn't look to be an exception.
All right, well, 45 seconds left. We have the bug in pocket, and we're at statue, so that's inspect done. Very quick put down. No blink there.
And seduction target, no matter where they go here, should be approachable. It's actually just going to be a romantic date in the corner, and we'll let Kane talk first. We're not going to get them leaving anytime soon because we're not going to interrupt them. Actually, we are going to interrupt them, but it's fine.
It's fine. That's going to be Sauerkraut taking another spy win.
Yeah, I think it's coming down to these bugs, right? Sauerkraut is just hitting so many of them and getting away with it, and C-Rams isn't catching them, and C-Rams mystical voodoo shots. Otherwise, if they have been happening, they've been happening on civilians. So, good stuff to Sauerkraut, and it's a pretty hefty lead.
It's a pretty hefty lead. Yeah, we talked about C-Rams as being a strong sniper, but C-Rams actually has not won a sniper game so far in this set. Picked up 2 spy wins, but blank so far on the sniper. So we're going to bring back Grosh, have him walk us through the draft so far and what we saw in the doubles, possible adjustments, and we're going to show you a couple of highlight clips before we see if C-Rams is able to bring this back and make the set a little bit more even. But Grosh, welcome back. Walk us through what we saw in the first half of the set.
Yeah, so I think this has been a very interesting game so far, right? I think things kind of going in a large way how I thought they might, but not with the scoreline. So on Tan, C-Rams clearly pulling out some very interesting attempts, like with interesting tech, like with the with the green purloin, and then returns the list, but unfortunately C-Rams times that out and doesn't get that right. But then the rest of Tan largely goes down to some bugs that were missed on both sides, and then a missed shot by C-Rams, and C-Rams a bit out of character. A lot of missed shots this set. I think speaking to Sour's really excellent play on some of these venues, and especially once we moved to pub, I think for Sauerkraut was a really great pick, both in that C-Rams hasn't been able to do super wild techie things, but I think it's been pretty rough. So I think if the games that C-Rams has won on Tan managed to get that bug, and with a center inspect game past Sauerkraut, and then on pub he got a spy win when he did complete fingerprints. So I do wonder if he will end up completing more fingerprint games. But there were a few clips I wanted to show too with all that interesting stuff. So I think both the clips I thought would be interesting to talk about were on pub. This first one, we've got Sauerkraut. He's already got an inspect, and it had been that game where he got a flirt and inspect both in the same statue, and it was a green, right? And then he gets this contact, and then in a few moments we're going to see him finish with a second green flirt. And I think Sauerkraut, picking pub, noticing potentially last week that C-Rams had lost, when Scout had played a 3 green game on to spy, C-Rams had also lost that game, and so this feels like a very similar game, except it's on pub. So this 3 green game gets past the C-Rams sniper, and C-Rams ends up shooting an AI for potentially finishing inspect at the very end here. So but then moving on to the second clip, right? A spy game that C-Rams did win, that largely went according to plan. Here is back-to-back fingerprints, more or less. So C-Rams gets a drink print, and then goes for this briefcase print. And has this highlight seemingly for purloin, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't stay in Sour's mind. He's brought to a low light, getting back into conversation. I'm not entirely sure why, but we will see that coming. And then Sour doesn't manage to shoot for last second BB for a fingerprint finisher. So I think for both these players, right, if you're C-Rams, you're in a really tough position, right? You're down 2-6, and Sour, very solid player, right? So you're gonna have to sweep some more venues. And I think in order to see that, we're gonna have to see if C-Rams can pull out some interesting tech on the venues that are left. I believe he had picked Aquarium, so I'm curious to see what we get out of that.
Banana bread.
So yeah, so I think those are my thoughts here.
All right, well, if we take a look then at the draft that we have coming up, we do, of course, have, as you mentioned, Aquarium, then we have Library, Gallery, and Modern. Now, taking a look at some of the stats that we had, thank you to Telna for preparing them. Gallery has actually been one of the most played venues in SMC so far. 10 games played on Gallery with a 40% SPY win rate. So one of the more balanced venues. Now, again, the sample sizes are still small, but I think it's probably to say that Aquarium, Gallery, at least, are very sweepable for either player.
I had general concerns when I saw the full picks and bans for C-Rams. I just found a lot of these venues to be very skill testing. We've often seen the better player be able to thrive on places like Aquarium, like Gallery, like these sniper crate setups, in this case Pub, on Library. They are also the sort of venues that you can have good technical, good plans and get wins that way. The sort of thing that C-Ram is good, which I think is why he ended up picking these venues. But it was a big concern to me, and I mean, it's paid off so far, at least with the doubles.
Yeah, I think at the point we were at in the draft, I'd be very concerned to see Rams with Library and Modern left. We don't have very many games to lose, and so I think it's really going to be an uphill battle, and we'll have to see if he can manage to squeak it out.
Yeah, if we assume that Library and Modern, for example, the best C-Rams is going to do is split those. They are Sauerkraut's picks. C-Rams has to sweep Aquarium and Gallery to take us to overtime, which of course we would then play out. So thank you, Grash, for the analysis. And Pwned, we're going to head back into the game here. It's going to be coming up onto Aquarium. C-Rams starting off on the SPY side as Boots, looking for a sweep in 3, 2, 1, playing.
Yeah, I was chatting with C-Rams last night about just how to approach a game against somebody who's got a lot more games than you. I was talking about some of the tech here, and he did mention that he was specifically going to pick Boots on Aquarium if given the opportunity. And here we have it. It's Boots on Aquarium with no mission completion, and not really much dream of mission completion here. This is actually a pretty quiet party to start.
Yeah, we have like a couple people at bar, but not too many. We have quite a few people at books, but not doing anything and not getting cover, and really not much in the way of statue visitors either. I think Queen being our second. So C-Rams will walk over here to the left-hand venue with left-hand conversation with our section target. That's 32% on the first flirt. That's okay. But we're coming up on just about 3 minutes on the clock, and Aquarium not super forgiving on the time.
Yeah, and we're going to pick up a statue here. It's going to be one of the side statues. We do often see with these very clever spies that they'll do a back statue first because the side statues are more likely to result in these shark walks that we've been seeing more and more regularly. But C-Rams here is happy to take these two specs, and even like the back-facing statues, people forget about them because they're all excited about the shark, but the back-facing statues are also a pain to deal with in the last 30 seconds as a sniper.
Yeah, especially if someone gets a shark walk there, you only have a second or two before they get behind. We do pick up our second flirt. It takes us up to 66%, so we're still in 3 flirt range. No worries about that first one. C-Rams has not been seeing a lot of green flirts, and I think it's been making the pacing a little more difficult, which could be leading to some of those timeouts. Double Agent will walk right past us there into middle conversation. And we're going to go get this contact, it looks like. Sure, why not?
Yeah, the set has generally had CRAMs having actually good
Banana bread.
setups for contacts early in the game, and he hasn't been taking them. I think it's in part why CRAM's spy might be slow in general, is not willing to take early contacts. This is about mid game. This isn't particularly early, and I think it's definitely the right decision here, as we needed to make some progress. Now with the flirt done, we are halfway done. We actually could end on any inspect swap.
Yeah, this is pretty nice. We have plenty of time. 90 seconds coming up on the clock. We put the book back, and look at all this attention that Sauerkraut's having to pay to the Ambassador. The Ambassador has actually been in threat a couple times so far in this game, and CRAMS is heading straight for the back statue now.
The timing here is going to end up with the shark kind of blocking it too. We do have a high shark.
There's the swap. And CRAMS puts down the statue, is going to go try to hide in the little hidey hole, and the shot's going to try to come off. Will we find it? No! Just barely.
I will spoil last night's conversation. This was it. I asked CRAMS, hey, do you want to be looking towards like the void like you would if you're doing a watch check, or do you want to be looking into the corner? He told me he wanted to be looking into the void, so that he had his arm pointing out there at the last moment there. Was not the intention. His ending state here was the situation here. Let's go look at it from the sniper side. Goodness.
Yeah, the shark,
It's
of course,
completely
maybe
blocked.
not correct, but there it is.
Yeah, and I mean, good news for Sauerkraut. You did have the highlight. You can still see little fractions of boots, and it needed to be about 1 second left because CRAMS couldn't get his character to turn. Did have the opportunity to shoot, but it's frames. You just have fractions of seconds to get this shot off, and it does pay off for CRAMS, who definitely needed it in this set.
Yeah, that's got to be so good, coming off those doubles, thinking you're behind. Knowing you have a plan on Aquarium and being able to execute it is a good feeling. And now we just have to snipe Sauerkraut on Aquarium. This is, of course, again, CRAMS' single. So Sauerkraut playing as Duke in 3, 2, 1, playing.
Yeah, what you guys predicted at the beginning, and I said it was definitely possible too. CRAM's spy plays are getting paid off. He has actually won more spy games than he has lost. The issue is he just needs to also be winning the sniper games. If he continues to have the spy success and can clean up the sniper side, or just even shoots Sauerkraut once, that would be a big deal. This is a microfilm. It is generally blocked by the shark, but it probably should be acknowledged both for Duke and also Kane. That it was possible. The second microfilm is probably going to be a bit more clever, perhaps doing it not at the bookcase to get away with it.
3 minutes 15 in the set. We do pick up another flirt, 85%. Sauerkraut not feeling bad about forcing these. Now, I will mention that in the last game where Sauerkraut defeated Pofke 9-7, this was actually Sauerkraut's ban, was Aquarium. So I have to imagine Sauerkraut's not feeling too comfortable here, but that transfer behind Shark might suggest otherwise. Might suggest that, Sauerkraut's used to playing these long around the world sets, has kind of gotten comfortable with more or less any venue, and now heading into blue books for the second animation.
Yeah, Sauerkraut going from Pofke into CRAMS is kind of interesting. This is clearly got to be noted. You've had him behind the shark both times, and it definitely looks like it was from CRAMS. You have two players who have a strong reputation of playing a strong sniper. On their spy side, they are trying to make it work by having these set plays. And Aquarium is definitely a place for these set plays. So it's not too surprising that it was banned by Sauerkraut in the Pofke set and picked at least as a single here in the set we're watching currently.
2 minutes on the clock. We have transfer done, but as you mentioned, I think CRAMS has a lot of suspicion built up around it. The problem, of course, could be if Sauerkraut ends up being flirt paired with Pearls, who I think is who we were standing with at that bookcase, instead of with our seduction target. The seduction is canceled. The seduction target leaves just as we pull the trigger on it. No, it happens. It happens. We get the 100%. Excuse me.
Hilariously, I think Kane has talked every time that we've been in conversation with him too. These two are clearly flirting with each other. True love.
It's the way you like to see it.
And
Kane goes to books
takes
as well.
Kane too. Ugh. Yeah, Kane. I would be really annoyed with Kane right now. Neither our spy or our seduction target are highlight from C-Ram's side, but we know C-Rams is conscious of the microfilm, and this contact might be really telling. We have a couple highlights who are also going to get real, including a Smallman, so let's see. Sauerkraut's holding off on it. He's being respectful. I'm not sure why. Is there somebody who wants to get in the conversation, or is it trying to avoid the suspicion? It's not paid off. Double agent leaves, and we don't get the opportunity anymore.
Yeah, that could be bad for us. Double Agent goes to bar, is going to be there at least for a little while. We're down to 50 seconds. We still need a fourth mission. I assume we're counting on a bug at some point, because I don't think at this point you can really do inspects on Aquarium.
Yeah, if Ambassador leaves towards the middle, and like immediately, we could have a really clever bug. But Ambassador is going to put down the briefcase and potentially take a sip here and ruin any sort of dream of that. Sauerkraut's in trouble. 30 seconds left.
This is so bad. I mean, we can't even inspect swap at this point. Double Agent's not cooperating. Now just walking away from statues. We will go for a single inspect. We could inspect swap in the back, maybe. We have time for that, but no shark cover for that. And now we're two cycling this to get the second inspect. Quick put down from Sauerkraut, and now immediately into back statues. And here comes the shot. C-Ram sweeps the corner, stays alive in the set.
I was wondering when one of these snipers was going to punish in any sort these quick put downs. Every player has been taking books out quickly, putting them back quickly, putting statues down quickly. This was just clearly illegal. Like, Sauerkraut was rushing it because he needed to. He needed to pick up that statue and inspect and swap it. He might still run out of time anyways, but I'm happy to see C-Rams just willing to take the shot, if not for the etiquette break, but for the idea of what was about to happen. Either way, it's a spy. Congratulations, you've got your first sniper win. You need a few more of those.
Yep, you absolutely do, and you have a chance now to get them on a library, but you're going to have to get through the spy side first. C-Ram's apparently playing as a statue. It will be as Irish. Thank you very much, SpyParty, for that initial shot. And Sauerkraut looking to take this to 7 on the sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it. And a lot of these venue setups, for SMC, we did adjust them slightly to make it a little harder on the sniper. At the top level of play, we do see snipers dominate, and we wanted to make them work a little bit for it. Library is one where it has not been adjusted because it's just not clear what to do while keeping it a 5 of X, and we did want to keep some 5 of X's in the pool just to have a little bit of variance. So library has been a place where I think it's still fair to expect a lot of sniper dominance in SMC.
Yeah, and the issue with trying to... Ooh, that could have been a bug. I think the sniper was on it enough that we know that that was just not a bug, but C-Ram's not taking the opportunity and probably would have been shot for it, so good idea. The issue with library is the thing that you want to do is add time, but if you add time, it then makes the whole venue, when you add time adds to it, incredibly long, and time adds are as good on library as any other venue. We had the fingerprint. I think that's what the highlight's for, to be honest, is the fingerprintable book, because the idea of it being a late highlight for walking into the ambassador, I don't really buy. Either way, C-Rams has a lot of heat for not much mission progress.
Yeah, the highlight is brutal. Good on C-Rams, though, for hitting the green. You love to see that. And fingerprint can be strong. If we wait a long time, we kind of forget what this highlight is for. We do have, okay, not many highlights yet, but there goes another one. Then we have some highlights for statues. We have this highlight for fingerprint. Maybe C-Rams can pull off a second print, and maybe, by the way, also transfer this book, because we're holding on to it for a while.
Yeah, C-Rams is choosing a camera angle looking towards Smallman, looking towards this window, and that's why he's looking for, well, in this case, a time ad, and it's a red test. That's very ugly. And then followed by a white test. Oh.
I think Sauerkraut might know.
Yeah. We added in a watch check. Yeah, Sauerkraut.
I
think
like the read.
I think he was about to microfilm. I think there was more incoming, but Sauerkraut is ready for it. Was he tilting to see it? Yeah. As soon as he heard the beep, I think we were incredibly suspicious of the back window. Pressing Q and E to tilt, and that might have tilted C-Rams, because I think this was a clever idea that is completely blown apart with the early highlight.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, this is the kind of idea that, like, really experienced snipers, they've seen this before. They know they need to keep track of who's behind that pillar. The watch check was kind of right at the minute, so the beep was kind of at the right time, but then you look up and you see 44 on the clock, and you're like, well, that's not right. So unfortunate for CRAMs, I think it's fair to say, but it is on library. You're not necessarily banking on a spy win there. It'd be nice to see. But here is where we really need CRAMs to pick up a second sniper win to stay in the set. Sauerkraut spying for match point in 3, 2, 1, playing it. So how do you play library against a sniper like CRAMs?
Time ads? It's my solution to everything, but I mean, genuinely, the things that you want to be doing are getting good missions, right? You want to be doing difficult fingerprints. You want to be doing bugs when they're off camera, and the best way to do that is get lucky. But the second best way to do that is to be in the right place at the right time, which isn't itself a skill. And the third way to do that is just add time so you have more opportunities for yourself to be lucky. This microfilm is going to get paid off. The list and the ambassador were on the other side, and we hit the green test crucially. I think if it was a white test, CRAMs would have came back and seen it.
Yeah, we were very close to seeing that. White test would have been too slow. We're not going to pick up the flirt. No, we do pick up the flirt here, 34%, excuse me. And we pick up center inspects. That's going to be a highlight onto Sauerkraut, but we do have the microfilm in pocket. The problem is, whoa, break animation putting the statue down.
Yeah, that's the Rafiki dropping Simba animation there. It's completely off screen, but I'm not sure why Sauerkraut decided to cut that animation so quickly. We could have just stood there. We already had the highlight.
All right, well, now we're going into books. This will be potentially our second animation transfer. We're going to walk away with the book, which I think is very prudent.
Yeah, with the microfilm from Blue already, we need to find a clever place to do this. It could be just returning it to the bookcase. It could be somewhere behind a pillar or in a corner. There's a lot of options here for Sauerkraut, and I'm interested to see what he does. He does have the highlight, which does make this a lot harder. You might still be seen around the pillar.
Yeah, but we're so busy tracking this tray.
Yeah.
It's not being offered to anyone. That the microfilm is completely off screen, and Sauerkraut puts this back. We're in a very strong position on a spy game that could be back-breaking for CRAMs.
Yeah, this is only going to be our first completion, but with the context that we do also have our flirt one away, inspect one away, we could actually end this game pretty quickly. Something like picking up that statue and swapping it that's right near us is 2 more missions. We would only have to add a contact or a purloin, and we could be done in the next 30 seconds if we wanted to.
Quick conversation stage. Sauerkraut is not messing around. We're going to go to this empty spot and pick up a briefcase.
Ambassador is super nearby currently, but they were walking towards it. This is not a place you ever return. This could actually be a shot. CRAMs, despite not having that many games, does have a lot of knowledge, and that's definitely not how that briefcase return happens.
Yeah, and I think that being on screen is something where CRAMs is at least starting to pay some more attention to us. I think it's going to make it difficult to get away with something like an inspect swap at this point.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Sauerkraut returned that. Sauerkraut, from my experience playing them, is really like the most practiced player. Him and Nebula have just played so much so recently that he's seen basically everything on Sniper. That's why I didn't think he had a brilliant chance of CRAMs getting away with as much as he honestly has. CRAMs already has 3 spy wins. But dropping things like just random briefcase is interesting. We can do side statue here. Twin is going to move out of the conversation, which means we don't have any additional blockage, but we do have our own body. And Ambassador moves into the spot.
Oh, but look at this.
If Twin stops the Ambassador from moving? No. Okay.
Yep,
That's
and the
it.
shot found.
The animation there dragged the statue to the left, and CRAMs is ready for it. The microfilm, I think, might have been clean, though. I think this was actually a really good effort.
Yeah, and I think, on that briefcase, I think it just comes down to Sauerkraut saying, like, look, I want to push this mission progress. I don't think CRAMs is going to shoot me for this. And also, it's the spy setup library. Like, I think a lot of players are more willing to take some of those risks, and I don't want to say disrespectful because it's not disrespect, but like put the onus on the sniper to say, like, look, I'm going to do my missions, and you're the one that has to shoot me. So,
Yeah. I really like the quiet game. It was a silent game. It's just we had a bit too much heat. That is, I believe, 3 in a row for C-Rams though. Here after the visit to Dr. Grash and the analysis.
It's Swept Aquarium and then the split here on Library. So
Oh,
3 out of
3-1.
4.
So,
but
I
if
mean,
you
still.
don't count the Library spy game, which why would you? Then it's 3 really solid wins.
And I thought we were can here for a moment. Nope. C-Rams is back on the Smallman. This was Gallery. This is his pick, and so this might be prepared Smallman stuff. I'm interested to see what we're up to here.
Yeah, this is CRAM's final venue pick. Again, CRAM's definitely looking for the sweep. I just can't. I just can't.
Don't talk to me or my son ever again.
Let's get into the game in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Like an Aliens thing, right? It's just Smallman's head coming out of Kane's body. Poor Kane. We'll see who gets shot here. It's quite likely to be Smallman, but sometimes you just want to shoot the person who's having an alien come out of their head before it ever happens. 51% here. C-Rams is going to need to be hitting this green test. We need to win both of our spy games, and Gallery is a pretty important venue to be getting quick flirts, to be getting green tests in general. Things like white flirts or white purloins will just be the death of you.
3.5 minutes on the clock. We have that one flirt, and now we're going to take a book out. No cover whatsoever for this, and probably a quick takeout, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I think this has actually worked out pretty well with Duke blocking the book here. C-Rams definitely gave Sauerkraut the opportunity, but it wasn't like a conspicuous way of pulling the book out. And if Sauerkraut missed it entirely, C-Rams is getting away with Smallman murder. Neither of these players are willing to take Smallman highlights, and this is our third Smallman game, so it's sensible to be picking him. He is powerful.
This game could really decide C-Rams' tournament fate. I mean, if we lose this spy game, we have to sweep Modern. That's not a venue you want to have to sweep. So C-Rams, potentially the next 2.5 minutes, is going to dictate whether he advances in this tournament or whether Sauerkraut moves on to the champions bracket. We go here, we're going to hopefully not take this bug. Yeah.
You can't take this, by the way. Smallman's standing bug is atrocious. There's no chance of it being a wrong arm or anything because we have the book in hand. We will get shot for that. Sauerkraut is too good. This, I think, might be considered like the biggest game of either of these players' career, but the reward for this is to go play 3 more big games against 3 top-level opponents. It doesn't get any easier for either of these players. What's the cheese here? We'll finish the flirt. We could do the book. The ambassador is the big question mark, I think. You can always do Purloin with Smallman, but ambassador moving to the front of even just the blue paintings there is a bit too far away for us to be dreaming of dancing just yet.
We do have safety off flashes onto boots, and I mean, that is one way to win this game. It's Gallery. I think it's plus 15 seconds for most competitive setups. So we absolutely have a chance of just existing here and you saying, you know what, Sour, I just need a little bit of a break.
We could do bug and slam this book in, and C-Ram sees it. C-Ram's going to take it. He's not doing the bug first. Oh, he's completely butchered it. Come on, T-Rams. But the shot's impossible.
No, it's not. We take the shot anyways. One shot.
I mean, you have to take it then, right? Like, you cannot wait around any longer. C-Rams, I'm so sorry for you, buddy. This is not what you want to see. Just missing the frame that you can put the book in. Like, the book is clearly in the bookcase at the moment that he does it, but just waiting slightly off. And then the decision to do the bug after, I think, also was going to put him in trouble. Just give Sauerkraut a few more moments to catch it. Sauerkraut, good stuff finding this shot on Smallman. It is amazing, not easy, shot. And the shot that he took was between the legs. It's the 5th hole. Yeah, brilliant.
I mean, just looking at this, like, how on earth are you shooting Smallman on this frame? Like, I'm sorry.
That's brilliant.
Like, I want to look at this laser here.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, the issue with a lot of these male characters is they are just wearing fancy black tuxedos and whatnot. So when you're looking at legs, they all kind of blend in together. Sauerkraut, I think because of the highlight. No, there wasn't even a
There
highlight.
wasn't
Like
even a
this shot
highlight.
bit's a lot easier if you have a highlight. This is just him knowing that if he doesn't take this shot now, he doesn't get to do it later. Like you have 10 seconds of just misery, and willing to just line it up, playing some CS:GO here instead of some Spy Party. Quality stuff. It's unfortunate that C-Rams dropped it here. I think he's going to have a lot of regret about that, and he shouldn't. He played a brilliant game, and the technical flubs are not something you can lose sleep over.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be critical here. See if C-Ramp can regain his composure. We saw it earlier, and now it's going to come down to this game. Sauerkraut's on match point, so C-Rams has to reverse sweep the next 3 games just to bring it to overtime. Starting off on the sniper side of his pick of Gallery in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I mentioned Irish on pub. I associate Gallery with Teal. Has no reason. Like Teal is a very average character. Doesn't really have much going. She's not like particularly quick, which is something that you want on Gallery perhaps. But interrupted by what is a lovely talk, and Sauerkraut's going to talk after it, just kind of masking the animation. I don't think C-Rams, given that he's not seen easier bugs to catch previously, has any hint of it.
No, it was off camera. We were busy housekeeping in the front conversation, and Sauerkraut now is probably going to book his ticket to the Champions group in the next 3 minutes with a super clean bug that I just don't think C-Rams has credited.
Sauerkraut is signaling to us what the game plan is with the fingerprintable drink take. We're gonna play a nice, quiet game. Like Sauerkraut needs to be playing responsibly here. The briefcase pickup, almost actually aggressive. It's gonna result with us taking the drink outside. Interestingly, actually it won't, because we should stop because Ambassador's up against the wall. But funny stuff here.
Ambassador leaves, making it a little bit easier for us. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm interested to see if we go into the conversation with the drink in hand. Nah, Sauerkraut is going to respect the map, and we have good reason to. It's 2:30 on the clock, and we have 2 of the more difficult or longer missions done. The dream here is just to inspect, flirt, and finish it off. Gallery is the biggest map for ruining. Like, DAs just don't go into conversations for 2 minutes. So we still need to be timely, but Sauerkraut is in a commanding position.
Yeah, I mean, Sauerkraut's game to lose at this point. I don't know how C-Rams can possibly catch up from this.
Oh, it was yes. No, seduction target here. Small one's been outside the whole game, and this will be our first flirt. A green test would help out a lot, but I don't think it's truly necessary. We could pull this off. That's very helpful, though.
That's super good now for Sauerkraut. If we can hit a second one, we have a full minute to try to find the double agent or to inspect. Although at this point, I think Sauerkraut might be well served to leave this conversation, go get 1 set of inspects as an insurance policy.
Precisely. I was going to mention the same thing. With fingerprints already done, there is only one option to do another soft tail, and it would be inspects. You don't really want to be doing inspects and fingerprints, but it would definitely resolve any tension that the double agent might cause in the future, that we could just do another inspect.
Sauerkraut just going to let the flirt cooldown expire, standing next to that conversation. Here comes the flirt. Great timing on the re-enter, knowing the cooldown will expire. And that's a white test, unfortunate, 85%. And now, okay, you start getting in some trouble with the double agent not in conversation, actually.
Yeah, we could do a similar thing here to just finish up the flirt and then figure out what our game plan is. What I'd hate to see is like a late white purloin. Just a quick way to lose a game that has otherwise been very much a masterclass of how to play the first half of Gallery, at least.
45 seconds left, 40 seconds left for Sauerkraut to knock C-Rams out of this tournament. We're going to chase our seduction target to books. That will be flirt complete. And we're going to take this book away. So there's no purloin, there's no inspect, it's got to be contact. Double agent's here, we need to pull the trigger right now. There comes the contact, it's white. What's the reaction going to be from C-Rams? I can't imagine there's a shot. It's a long contact, but it does come off. Double agent stays in, 18 seconds left, 17 seconds. And Sauerkraut, with this spy win, advances to the champions group of SpyParty Masters Championship 2022. Congratulations to Sauerkraut on the commanding win.
Yeah, there was a civilian shot at the end there. I mean, just really clean stuff from Sauerkraut. Figuring out the mission that he can do in the last 30 seconds if it all goes poorly, which is microfilm. Good stuff. and then just immediately turning into the conversation as soon as he figures out the double agents going in there. Sauerkraut, I mean, it's the exact sort of play that has been getting him spy wins, but then he also was just the better sniper today. Deserved victory, and if I do say so, I believe that's what I predicted. 9-5.
Yep, so that is going to be our winner here in the Challengers upper bracket. So we'll go ahead and just remind folks of what that looks like. We do have now Sauerkraut entering the top round robin bracket. That'll be playing with Lazy Bear, Mean York, and Opie Wrights. So Sauerkraut, congratulations on getting a chance to do that. And that will be C-Rams knocked out, unfortunately, of SMC, but some great games and a chance, I think, really to just elevate his play to a higher level and a higher stage and have a chance to go up against some of these players. I'm sure C-Rams will be taking a lot of lessons away from these games.
Yeah, and I think Sauerkraut has a decent chance here. Opie Wrights has looked fragile from what we've seen as Opie Wrights being potentially the best player previously. Lazy Bear is looking a bit rusty. I mean, they haven't been playing in the SMC because they've had the full permission to just be in the championship round. Miniorek has looked better and better, but not necessarily to the same quality as some of the players that we see on the bottom half. Someone like Rov or the Gorv have just been slightly better. And Sauerkraut has looked clean both in these games, but also just in general, especially in other competitions such as SCL. I think Sauerkraut has a shouting chance, and if he plays as well as he did on the Spy side against C-Rams today, I think as good a chance as anybody in that group to get to the finals.
All right, well, Grosh, we're going to bring it back to you. What is one takeaway for each of these players from this set? One thing that both of them can take away and think, you know what, this is something that either worked really, really well for me or something I need to adjust on going forward.
Yeah, gosh, I think what an exciting set and really well played. Congratulations to Sauerkraut. Gosh, I mean, I think for I think it's tough to say. I think for C-Rams, when things went well on Spy, they went very well, right? And I think had some nice Spy wins, had that good game on Pub with Fingerprint. But I think this set just wasn't ready for the caliber of Spy that Sauer brought to the table, right? Some really excellent Spy games from Sauerkraut, some excellent bugs, and wasn't able to credit them. So I think for C-Rams, taking away some of watching these Spy games really closely and seeing how they missed some of these plays. But I think generally Sauer played really solid here. And I think for Sauer, they just need to keep up the momentum and try to pull through with Champions Group here.
All right, well, that is our stream for today. Thanks, of course, so much, Ponoob and Grosh, for joining me here on the cast. It was a pleasure to have you.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to have such high production value and such high gameplay. Good stuff to both players and big GGs.
Yep, and of course, thanks everybody for watching, everyone who's playing in SMC. We will be back, probably not this weekend, but sometime next week with some more matches, and they'll all be taking place right here. We'll do as many live as we possibly can, but until we can bring you more, thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.